All right, Warren Sharp here for a Week 14 recap edition. Got a lot to talk about here as it relates to some quarterbacks and some of the things that I saw around the NFL last week. We're going to hit on some of Andy Reid and his play calling and why it's costing the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to hit on Joe Burrow, his amazing performance out in the snow, some Jayden Daniels talk, and also some talk about some other things around the league that I'm interested in. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to the show over on YouTube or your favorite podcast apps, the Sharp Football Analysis Podcast. The first thing I want to talk about is Andy Reid and his change of play calling a little bit and commitment to the run, which I believe is causing problems for the Kansas City Chiefs a little bit here. What I got to show you here is this is the Chiefs game log. And over here on the end of the column, this is their early down first half drop back rate. So how often are they dropping back to pass the football in the first half of games? And what you can see here is we've got a 70% early down drop back rate through the first 8 weeks. And they've been having success in these games, and they're passing the ball at a 70% clip. Now, where does 70% rate? 70% is number one in the NFL by a mile. There's not another team even close. There's like multiple teams down around 65%, 64%, 63%, multiple teams in this neighborhood. Nobody north of that, except for the Kansas City Chiefs, number one by a mile. Then all of a sudden, from week 9 onwards, this drops down to 58%. 58%. Now, we're not talking about run rate at the end of games. We are talking about early down drop back rate. At the beginning of the games, on early downs, the first half of games, what is your approach to this opponent that you're playing? And the Kansas City Chiefs lowered their drop back rate down to 58%. They lost 4 of these 5 games. And they're running the ball much more frequently at the beginning of these games, and it's leading to all of these losses. And they once again did it last night against the Houston Texans. They've been below 55% pass on first half early downs in 3 out of their last 4 losses. That is below the NFL average in terms of pass rate. They are running the ball at an above average rate. And who are they doing this with? Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco a little bit. I mean, we're mostly talking about Kareem Hunt here now. Kareem Hunt, 3rd and 2, 4th and 1. That's where this guy is special. That's where I don't want to say special. That's where he's efficient. That's where he's most effective. Not on 1st and 10. Not on 2nd and 8. I don't know why they insist on jacking up this run rate and shifting from by far the most pass-heavy team in the NFL, like they've been in 2024, 2023, 2022, to now, midway through the season, we're going to be dropping to a below NFL average pass rate on first half early downs. All of our receiving core is healthy. We've got Patrick Mahomes. We've got every single one of our receivers is now back and integrated into this offense. And they've got so many receivers, they don't know which ones to utilize. They target Thornton, then they stop targeting him. They target Rice, then they don't target him for a couple of quarters. Then they go back to him. Like they've got although Travis Kelce is getting a little bit older, then they throw the ball a billion times to Noah Gray. Like they got so many receivers. They're receivers coming out of their ears, but they don't have the running backs, and yet that's what they've shifted to, this run first approach. How is that run game ranked? So let me tell you this. First of all, the run game on the course of the season ranks 19th in efficiency, that's below average, despite playing the number 10 easiest schedule of run defenses. So they're playing a top 10 easy schedule of run defenses, and yet they're well below average running the football. Passing the football, they've played the 3rd toughest schedule of passing offenses, and yet they rank as the number 10 most efficient passing offense. So they're a top 10 pass offense against tough pass defenses. They're a bad run offense against bad run defenses, but yet they're pivoting into the run. Makes no sense. On early down running back runs over the course of this season, the Kansas City Chiefs ranked number 32, dead last, in explosive run rate. 3.2% of their runs produce an explosive game. Number 24 in yards per carry, 4.0. Number 23 in EPA per rush at minus 0.1. And number 19 in success rate at 36%. You got me why this is happening. But I'll tell you what, this right here, all this running is leading to third down and more difficult situations. It's forcing them to convert more third downs. I think they had to go into 14 third downs last night against the Houston Texans. And it was the result of them being so inefficient on early downs. I think they converted only 4 of those 14 third downs. And they wouldn't be in third down as much as they were more efficient on early downs. I don't know why. And Andy Reid offense is going to the run, especially when you have Kareem Hunt as your lead running back. And Isaiah Pacheco makes absolutely no sense at all to me. All right, before we get into the next one, I do want to mention 2 quick things. First of all, the college football season has come to an end, and that means bowl season is finally here, and we have crushed bowls. I mean, 73 wins to 20 losses over the last 5 years. That's 78%. Really laser focus in just a couple of games a day over the course of about a month. It's just been really good to us from a college football bowl betting perspective. We have hit over 70% of our bets every year, and we already have a few plays that we're getting ready to send out for this upcoming bowl season. So this is the perfect time to get on board to join us, because not only is our record great and the bowls haven't started yet, but you can take advantage of our early bird sale, take $75 off of our postseason packages. Go to sharp.football, click the link at the top to save, and use code SAVE75, SAVE75 to join today. All right, you definitely want to do that. The second quick announcement, we have a special College Bowls episode of this podcast that's coming out tomorrow. It's being recorded tomorrow, and it's going to give you advice on how to navigate bowl season with our college football expert, and this is going to highlight some of the biggest games and help you win your pick'em pools in case you decide to do that. Some great advice there. So make sure that you're subscribed to our YouTube. Turn on your notifications. You're going to want to listen to this bowl spectacular that's going to basically walk you through the entire 2025-2026 bowl season. It's going to be phenomenal. I think we need to make mention here of Joe Burrow and Joe Burrow's game against the Buffalo Bills. The game in general was emblematic of what Joe Burrow faces year in and year out. And I want to mention this first statistic to you, and then we're going to get back to some of the Joe Burrow specific stats. This blew my mind. This blew my mind. The Bengals have already lost 3 games in 2025 in which they scored 34 plus points. 34 plus points, way above NFL average, and they lost 3 games. That's only happened 3 other times in NFL history, where in a season, a team has lost 3 games that they scored 34 plus points. It's only happened 1 other time in the last 20 years. So 2 decades worth of years, it's only happened 2 times. The first, guess who it was to? The 2024 Bengals. Last year, the Bengals had this happen to them, and now it's happened again this year. And no other team has had this happen to them in the last 20 years. It only happened 2 other times in NFL history prior to that. So the fact that the Cincinnati Bengals are constantly in this position where it's almost like, even if Joe Burrow almost plays a perfect game, now I know he did have an interception, but even if he plays an almost perfect game, the Bengals could lose, is ridiculous because of how bad this defense is and how little support Joe Burrow has on the offensive line, on the defense, etc., etc. Joe Burrow in this game, plus 0.26 EPA per attempt. And the context of all of this is his foot, his toe, his injury, playing with the Teflon or whatever steel plate in his foot. I mean, this guy is going out there playing on snow in the cold with a foot that he came back earlier than was expected by pretty much every expert and is performing outstanding. That's a testament to how strong of a will that this guy has to get out there and play football, how much he loves playing football, and just his overall greatness. And I unfortunately think that it gets wasted in Cincinnati with that defense, with that team in general. But I mean, Joe Burrow has been outstanding, and you just never see it really. He fortunately had one great playoff run, but hopefully he gets some more opportunities here because he's a very fun and competitive guy to watch. But some of these statistics, again, in the context of this game being played out in the snow, this game being played with a quarterback with those injuries. Plus 0.26 EPA per attempt, number 8 of all quarterbacks last week. 51% success, number 5 of all quarterbacks last week. Average 7.9 yards per attempt, 69% completions while throwing 36 attempts. This is an interesting juxtaposition here. He averaged 9.1 air yards per attempt. That was the number 5 highest of any quarterback in the league last week. Compare that to Josh Allen, who played in those same exact circumstances and situations with the weather and all the snow and a little bit of wind. Josh Allen averaged just 4.6 air yards per attempt. 4.6. Joe Burrow was way up at 9.1, over double what Josh Allen was at. So, and he still completed 69% of his passes. He threw 49% of his passes beyond the sticks. That was third most of any quarterback. He completed 80% of his third down passes. That was number 2 best of any quarterback. So in the clutch, when he needed to complete a pass on third down, Joe Burrow was completing those passes. 80% conversion rate on third down is absurd. Yet his defense gave up 416 yards and 39 points, and the team lost the game. Listen to this stat. Facing pressure, Joe Burrow, when he was under pressure, he has the foot, he's playing in the snow, he's being pressured, was 10 of 13 for 121 yards and 3 touchdowns while taking only 1 sack. I mean, what more can you say? Like, yes, he did turn the ball over. Yes, he threw a pick 6. Yes, he could have played a perfect game. He didn't play a perfect game. Absolute warrior to come back under these circumstances and to play like he did in this game. I just wish that we had more of an opportunity to see him perform. His team just is not very good surrounding him. Speaking of a team that's just not very good, the Washington Commanders, I honestly don't know why. I'm sure the DC talk shows have some more intel on this, but what are we doing with Jayden Daniels here? I don't really understand. Getting him the experience, yes, but are we causing more harm than good, or potentially causing more harm than good here with Jayden Daniels? We know what happened to him when he got injured the first time, and that's because he was scrambling and running around too much because he was being pressured, and his scramble rate was extremely high, and he ends up going and getting injured. I don't think this offensive line is protecting him very well. I think that the Commanders obviously are in a totally lost season. It'd be one thing if you have a first-year coach and you're pressing for something and you're trying. There's nothing here for the Commanders right now. In 2025, there's really nothing here. And at some point, they didn't do it earlier. They let Jayden Daniels continue to play with his injury. And I said at that time on this show, sometimes you got to protect the player from himself. There's no way Jayden Daniels, as competitive and as tough as he is going to say, yeah, let's sit me, coach. But at some point, you need to come in there and say, like, we don't really have anything to play for. For Joe Burrow, he came back as a veteran quarterback. They were trying to win. They still had a potential opportunity and path to winning. The AFC North is a disaster right now this year. And so they're still actually technically not even eliminated from the postseason. But the Commanders is a bad team on both sides of the football. And clearly Jayden Daniels playing is not really the missing link right now, with him potentially not being at 100% to get this team over the hump. I just don't see what we're getting out of him. This is where the coaching staff, the GM, needs to figure out the best strategy long-term for the Washington Commanders. Probably is to lose more games. Probably is to get a better draft pick. Probably it's to keep Jayden Daniels healthy and safe so he can have an entire offseason where he's working on getting better versus having an offseason where he's working on rehabbing one injury or another, which would be horrible to have entering year 3 in a lost season already. Another point here to make, the refs in that Ravens game, the refereeing around the NFL, obviously not good. The refs in that Ravens game where they awarded a personal foul on a made field goal. So let me set the stage. 5 minutes or so left in the second quarter. It's 10-3. The Steelers are leading. Steelers driving the ball all the way down the field. The Ravens put up a very strong red zone stand. 13 total points on the scoreboard. Low scoring game. Hold the Steelers out of the end zone. Force Pittsburgh to have to try to attempt a field goal. On that field goal, the kicker makes it, but the Ravens are the refs throw a flag against the Ravens for a foul against the center when he's snapping the ball. The long snapper snapping the ball. The refs say that there was unsportsmanlike conduct, and they threw it on the Ravens defender. John Harbaugh sees the replay being played on the screen and is irate because it's not a foul. Apparently, and Harbaugh says this in the video, captured it, and I tweeted this whole thing out. I tweeted the whole exchange. I tweeted the play. Harbaugh in real time going berserk. And the mics picked it up on the field. He's saying he didn't hit him in the head or neck area. It's not a foul unless you hit him in the head or neck area. Then Tony Romo comes back on and talks about the fact that this wasn't a foul. It shouldn't have been called a foul. They bring on the ref expert on TV under the broadcast on CBS. Jim Nantz interviews him. Hey, did you think this was a foul? Gene, no, this should not have been a foul at all. So in real time, we are hearing that it's BS, shouldn't have been a foul, totally bogus. What ends up happening, the refs award the foul, 1st and goal, Steelers score on the very next play, touchdown. All of a sudden, the Ravens are down 14 points in a low-scoring game. Just like that, 14-point deficit they have to figure out a way to claw their way out of. They obviously lose this game by 5 points. Extremely close game, but it changes the trajectory of the rest of the game that's being played entirely. What happens today? The league comes out and apologizes to Harbaugh and says that that was a wrong call. It should have never been made. The Steelers should not have scored a touchdown there. The Steelers scored a touchdown because the refs gave them a 1st and goal. Should never have been the situation. And obviously that's rough. Obviously there's nothing you can do about it in retrospect, but it's just a testament to these refs and how we need to figure out a better way to make things better. And I don't know if anybody's going to like this proposal, but this is a little out of the box proposal that I have that I haven't heard anybody else discuss. Maybe this is a harebrained idea. Could be stupid. Feel free to sound off in the comments. What I think maybe is a good idea is, because all I care about is everything being correct. I don't want things taking a million years either, but I care about things being correct. What does take a million years is if the ref on the field, if the coach sees a replay, waits 30 seconds before the next snap, throws a challenge flag, the ref then has to go talk to the coach, hear why the coach wants to challenge it. Ref talks about why he's challenging it on the mic, runs off the field, brings on the little TV camera. They go to commercial break. They come back from commercial break. They're showing replays. The ref is still reviewing it. He talks to his assistant who's marking things down on a sheet of paper as to what needs to happen. Then they have to go announce it to the stadium. And then they have to go and actually respot the ball or do whatever ends up happening based upon the challenge. That takes too long. What should happen, in my opinion, or an idea, what if virtually every single critical thing was reviewed by a team of like 2 people assigned to a game that would be basically watching the game in real time from a variety of different angles and could make adjustments before the next snap, or at least like press a button to pause the game, like pause it so they can review something real quick and then keep progressing with the game if they needed to. That probably wouldn't happen very often. But on any of these key situations, just get the call right. Like tell the ref this is the way it needs to be. Now they have that replay system, replay assist, where they do this at times, but they don't do this for everything and they don't do it frequently enough. And we're still seeing things that are wrong and we're still seeing penalties that are called that shouldn't have been called. Like, let's just get the thing right so that doesn't have to happen. If the refs throw a penalty for a foul and then replay assist can go through and look at it real quick and determine that it's not, cut in. But the one thing that you have to do with this system is that there has to be video proof as to why a call should or shouldn't be there, that the replay assist people are reviewing, and then they play that on the broadcast, like after the play has commenced, right? So they go to the next play, they've adjusted things, they've allowed replay assist to respot the ball, or allowed replay assist to remove a penalty or whatnot. We keep playing the game, But then they just show that replay to the broadcast to show that, oh yeah, okay, clearly this was wrong. Clearly this was wrong. Clearly, like, thankfully they corrected this, because otherwise this would have been a disaster. That's not very difficult to do. It doesn't add that much more time to the game. What it does do is it forces the NFL to hire a few extra people who would sit there and watch the video and replay system in real time to make the correct. It's just hiring a few more staff for 16 games at most. Not really difficult to do, not very expensive to do, doesn't require any new technology out on the field. It's simple, and they could still arbitrate these things and get the correct calls made very quickly and very effectively through, and not make the game last much longer. And now all of a sudden, we feel confident that there's multiple people watching this thing, helping get the calls right. We're not going to feel like, oh, hey, New York is in control here and there, because they have to show that replay as to why it happened. And half the time that we're seeing issues, I think from us as viewers of the game, why we're having such bigger issues with it this year, is there's a penalty or there's a call that's made or there's a spot that's issued, and then the game proceeds while we're seeing a replay shown with the two announcers in there saying this doesn't look right, with them bringing in the referee expert on the TV broadcast who's saying that's absolutely wrong, they shouldn't be calling it, and yet the game is just proceeding with the bad call being made and the bad information out on the field being incorporated into the rest of the game. And all of it could be solved with this little proposed idea of mine and not require any new technology or anything too fancy along the way. And I don't see why anybody would be opposed to having more correct calls being made over the course of a game, more correct spots, as long as it's not too much time, which it wouldn't. And pretty much almost all of the, then you could sort of get rid of the challenge system. If virtually every single one of these things was being reviewed and replayed throughout the course of the game and just tweaked a little bit, no, spot that at the 48, not the 47. Okay, they quickly hurry up and respot it. Like, it doesn't take that much more time to execute something like this. Anyways, could be a terrible idea. Let me know. I think we're in favor of right calls and speed of play, as opposed to bad calls or taking way too long. Okay, I think that does it for this week 14 episode. Remember, we have this bowl podcast that's going to be out very soon. Tomorrow we're recording it with our bowl expert. In case you like betting on bowls or want to do bowl pick'ems or anything like that, you've got to make sure that you tune into this show. Secondly, make sure that you check out Sharp.Football for the college football bowl package and the NFL postseason package, where we've been absolutely ridiculous over the last 5 years and produced outstanding results over that span. So you're not going to want to miss that in case you like betting on these games as well. With that said, stay tuned to that bowl special tomorrow, and we'll see you then.